everyone. Thanks for being here, and thank you to Composers Now and to Impact for giving me the possibility to give you some glimpse into my work as a flutist and composer. And before we start, I'd like to just dedicate the whole time we spent together for peace, for human rights, for all humans and animals and all creatures who suffer in war zones. Let's go. Here's one of my film scores, a clip from the film scores with one scene from Metropolis, Fritz Lang's iconic film, which I got the support from Lower Manhattan Cultural Council to create it, and it was premiered 2014 on the High Line. I also played it a couple of years later at United Palace in Upper Manhattan and in Tel Aviv in Cinematheque. I love the time capsule of the Weimar era, the time between the two world wars in Germany. When artists actually communicated some kind of premonition through their art, they knew what was coming up. My film scores are always made of different layers, multi-layers of tracks and sound, not MIDI but audio. And here you can hear one track from La Belle Ombre. It's from a suite called Audio Images, and the track is called Greek Noise. You can also hear here one of my industrial beats. My artist name, Kat Modiano, includes two great inspirations that I feel empower my art and my life also. Cat is my favorite character in Crazy Cat, a cartoon strip created by the legendary artist George Herriman between 1910 and 1940s. Besides of being completely hilarious and aesthetically surreal, the cartoon touches on issues like social justice, police brutality, even gender identity, racism, human relationships, and just plain gossip. It's fantastic. Herriman's visual world is, and the motifs and philosophy is also inspired by the Navajo. Cat and Moon in Manhattan is actually the title. What you're hearing here is the title track of an album I released 10 years ago with different tracks, and Manhattan is the native name of Manhattan. Cat and Moon it's because I'm inspired by a frame of Cat and the Moon, of course, in Crazy Cat. Although Metropolis is from 100 years ago and it's a fictional, futuristic story from back then, I find it still very relevant. Even though you don't have any middle class, you have high class and low class. But you see how the rich people don't want to see the poor people. And it's a love story. Actually took the liberty to take samples from different things that were published already. Music by Messiaen and Mahler and Bartok in the early soundtracks that I created for Weimar films. And that's also because I performed it wasn't published. Now my soundtracks are lately has been published, so I use only my own things, only original things, and being a legit artist. And here you can hear the trombone, the wonderful trombone of Wycliffe Gordon, and his Rhodes piano, and the wonderful contrabass, double bass of Corcoran Holt. This is United Palace in Washington Heights, Manhattan. They invited me to perform Metropolis, live soundtrack to Metropolis, at their giant cinema. I'm talking with them now about future performance. The film score to The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which was an expressionist film, one of the first ones, the first horror films from 1920, also from the Weimar era. Here I believe I took my film score composition to another place, a bit darker, more electronics. I used many audio samples from different previous compositions I did for choreography, for dance, and also a piece for contrabass and voice and electronics. It was quite an experience to premiere it at a screening in Tel Aviv, at Tel Aviv Cinematheque. So just standing next to the big screen and performing my live soundtrack with the flute. The flute is usually, I improvise through effects, and it combines with the synchronized track on the computer. Witt, the actor who played Caesar here in Dr. Caligari, is in another film that I created soundtrack for, different from the others. It's a gay film, and I performed it in Berlin, in Venice, Tel Aviv, a couple of places in New York.
S'il vous plaît, dessinez-moi un mouton.
The text is from Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince, by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry.
Dessinez-moi un mouton.
Irina Kalina Godova, who is playing here and singing, she's also on the Caligari track. She's a very good friend, and I look forward to collaborating with her next year. These are excerpts from Shoshana Sheli, Les Fleurs, the Suite, and I'd like to mention that actually this piece got me the Fulbright scholarship to study composition at NYU, so it got me to New York. I'm very happy and I'm thankful to Irina Kalina, my friend, and also to Tom Buckner and Interpretation Series. One of my favorite places in Manhattan is where Gandhi is, Mahatma Gandhi. He is one of my mentors in spirit. I believe that as an artist, many of us would like to contribute to society through our arts, share our gifts. I like walking by the audience when I play my own pieces sometimes. So these concerts featured partially the new tracks that came up that I released on my new album in 2022 called NOMAD, Imagination, Roots of Love. And this one is a contemporary piece of mine. This is what happens when a crazy cat collaborates with a classical Indian trained person. It was a really beautiful collaboration. I really enjoyed performing with my friend. So this is also from Copenhagen when I was there the past few years, and I was presenting at a composer seminar at the Royal Danish Music Academy to composition students who wanted to know how to notate all what I do. So I tried to explain to them and to myself as well. I started studying and training the classical flute since the age of 9, and I'm still training. Distances and Sounds is a suite that I composed and recorded and released on the album called Humanities and Ocean. It was released in 2020 by an American label called Centaur Records. And here you can see I'm improvising on motifs, plus this is my collage, image collage, which I call dream collage. I'm a dreamer, like many artists and like many artists of lives. I believe it's good to keep on dreaming. Studio owner who is also sound engineer and also a visual artist who has different cameras, and he mixes the inputs, and one of the inputs was the image collage that I gave him. Distances and Sounds is also the title of a poem that inspired the suite that I wrote. It's a poem by Ilya Bernstein, my friend and a very brilliant poet. I call this music electroacoustic not just because I perform acoustically, or at least live, on top of a recording, but also because the recording itself is made of different elements, both acoustic and electronic. And it's my own flute recorded in a church, different tracks from that, plus recordings of noises that I recorded at the church. I actually started composing when I was at the Jerusalem Academy of Music and Dance, where I studied classical flute, and I have already played jazz. So I started to get used to improvisation, something outside the classical world. But I discovered the electronic music through the electronic music composition courses that were with analog instruments like ARP 1000. It opened up for me a whole realm of intuition and sound and dreaming, and it was I could create my own rules. I was very, very inspired by those pieces that I heard from the 40s by the French musique concrète movement. It's music without hierarchy, you can say. I define this as a kind of contemporary improvisations, not free jazz, or it's a different aesthetics than free jazz. This one to me, it comes from modern music and from contemporary music. Humanity is an ocean is for me always a prayer for humanity, for our condition, for what we do to ourselves and to the world and to each other. The Passion of Jeanne d'Arc was another film I created film score for, commissioned by the Tel Aviv Cinematheque. I performed it there a couple of years ago at the festival Soundtrack Tel Aviv, and this is one of the most amazing films that I've seen. It was a transformative experience to create the soundtrack and also to perform with it. It's a French production of a Danish filmmaker, Carl Theodor Dreyer. Some of the music that you hear is also from Humanity is an Ocean album. This is the only person who is for Jeanne d'Arc. He's saying, for me, she's a saint. These films are each their own universe. For me, they are like timeless work of art. And through this medium of moving pictures and sound, I feel that I'm collaborating in spirit with the artists who created these films. This is the colorful world of cinema, fantastic silent film compilation, colorful, from the early 1900s that I was commissioned to create a soundtrack to. It was just released in October and on iFilm Player. It's an online platform open to everyone by the Film Archive, I Amsterdam Film Museum. The music here is from a track that was released on my album Humanities and Ocean from 2020. I mixed it with other sounds, and the track is called Bird, a bird's assembly. So I'm imagining birds chatting between them while this little girl doing her things. It's fantastic. I love these films. It shows us how human nature is just the same. It's like a time capsule. Although they didn't have a washing machine at that time, I believe it in 1900 something, but we didn't change much. And now for another kind of sound, another kind of performance, another kind of aesthetics and expression. Another tune that is inspired by the Native Americans' culture and beat. This time, the powwow beat, the pulsating, very steady powwow beat, like a heart drum. So this trio we're going to perform at United Palace at the Lobby Series. It's a gorgeous part of the theater. January 14. You're all welcome. The next two clips are actually two episodes of silent films from France, comedy called Leontine series, produced by Pété Ferrer from 1910 and 1911. And it was released on cinema's first Nasty Women on Kino Lorber in 2022. And it's a collection that included 98 European and North American silent films produced between late 1800s to 1920s. The commission came just when I finished recording the album. It wasn't released yet, but the latest album, NOMAD Imagination, Roots of Life. So this is one of the tracks. I call this style urban jazz. Remixed and mastered and released on Aliud Records, the Dutch label that specializes in immersive sound. I'm very happy to have a relationship with them and to have a recording coming up next year for a classical and contemporary album. And this is Blue Cat Moves, the track from the same album with another film of Lil Kim. These are all the people she irritated during the film. This is the last part of the film. So they're all taking her to the police and you'll see what happens. I'd like to say thank you to those amazing musicians who performed with me and recorded with me these pieces for the album in Denmark, in Copenhagen. There's 5 more new film scores that I created this year, and they're published now since last month on the Danish Film Institute online platform called stumfilm.dk.
It's waking back down into the bone. Home, both need of the meaning, dancing and home definition. It was form, submission to the point, umbilical cord that was broken, separated the parents, laughing down itself in the well, abandoned.
This was the one and only Rashad Dobbins, my friend and amazing MC poet. I worked with him at that time when we recorded this album, and also now recently for the new album. And from next week I'll have to create quickly 2 new film scores for the Danish Film Institute to perform them live at their Silent Film Festival in Copenhagen that will be in January next month. And here is the obsession for gold. all for being here and for staying until the end. And thank you again to Composers Now and to Impact. Peace.